Okay, here are some questions from test 3, the one we had as homework, the one that had numbers till 100, not BCA test 3, that stops at number 40. Question number 80. Assume that the notation, we'll call this arrow, A, comma B, comma C, means subtract the sum of A, B, and C from the product of A, B, and C. What is the value of arrow 4, comma 5, comma 6 plus arrow, comma 3, comma 2, comma 1? So we take this first. It's called arrow 4, comma 5, comma 6. Okay, I'm going to underline it here in red, and I'm going to answer it in red. It equals, subtract the sum of the 3 from the product of the 3. So it's the product minus the sum. That's 4 times 5 times 6, all minus the sum. 4 plus 5 plus 6. 4 times 5 is 20 times 6, 120, minus 4 plus 5, 9 plus 6, 15. 120 minus 15 is 105. So in red, the first part of your equation is 105, or of this question. Now let's do the other one in blue, right here. Arrow 3, comma 2, comma 1 equals the product minus the sum. So 3 times 2 times 1 minus the sum, which is 3 plus 2 plus 1. 3 times 2, 6 times 1, 6, minus 3 plus 2, 5 plus 1, 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. So that's the second part. The question asked for the sum of those two. The sum of 105 and 0. 105 plus 0 is 105. Okay, that was question number 80. Okay, let's jump to question number 93. Okay, a square with a side length of 4 inches is divided into squares having sides of length 1 inch each. 3 of the small squares are labeled A. 5 are labeled B, 4 are labeled C, and 2 are labeled D. Now, the remainder of the squares are labeled E. If one small square is then chosen at randomly, what is the chance it's labeled E? Okay, so we have a big square that has a side length of 4 inches. Okay, so a big square that has a side length of 4 inches. Now, what happens here? This square will be divided into smaller squares, each with a side length of 1. 3 of the small squares are called A, 5 are called B, and 4 are called C, and 2 are called D, and some more are called E. So first think, how many squares can I make? The area of this square is 4 times 4, side squared, or side times side, so 16. The small square that it is divided into has a side length of 1, right? The area of that small square is 1 times 1, so 1. So the area of the small square is 1 inches squared, and the area of the large square is 16 inches squared. That means you can fit 16 small squares. So how many small squares do I have? 16. Because the area of only one is 1, and the area of the big square that's going to hold them is 16. Okay? So we have 16 small squares. Now, it says that 3 of them are called A. So 3 of the 16 are called A. And 5 are called B, so 5B. Then we have 4 called C. 2 are D. And the remainder is called E. How many remaining do we have? Let's see. 3 plus 5, 8, plus 4, 12, plus 2, 14. And we know we have 16 small squares, so we have 2 remaining, which are called E. Now the question is, if one of these small squares is then chosen randomly, what is the chance it's called E? So I want the probability of getting E. Okay, that's easy. How many E's do I have? Let's call it the probability of getting an E. we have 2e's over the total number of squares, which is 16. So the probability is 2 over 16. Simplify, it's 1/8. So the answer is B, 1 in 8. Okay, question 96 on the same test. Now, as we said, there was a typo in the answer choices. Answer choice F is in fact 2, and that is the right answer. What is the value of x over y if 28 over x squared equals 2 and 7 over xy? Okay? Actually, it's 2 times 7 over xy. So there should be a little dot here, a point or a times sign, so that you know it's 2 times 7 over xy. So, anyways, my question is now 28 over x squared equals 2 times 7 over xy. Now, 2 times 7 over xy, of course, is multiplied by the numerator right away. So it's 28 over x squared equals 14 over xy, which means x times y. Now remember, I'm looking for x over y, so I'm not just looking for x by itself or y by itself. Okay, now what can I do? Well, one thing I can do is I can move the numbers to one side and the unknowns or the variables to the other. So I'm going to switch the x squared and the 14. Remember, we can move any numerator to the other side as a denominator and vice versa. So it reads 28 over 14 equals x squared over xy. Now, you can simplify, because when you divide up and down on the right hand side by x, here it becomes 1. And the x squared divided by x is just x, so you can take away the square with the x down here. So 28 over 14 equals x over y. 28 over 14 is, divide by 14, 2, divide by 14, 1. That means x over y equals 2 over 1, which is 2. So your answer will be 2, F.